On Saturday, also, the league and the union, as part of the statement announcing the change of the concussion protocol, they tried to harmonize their respective positions on the Tua Tagovailoa situation and the investigation the NFLPA required in its aftermath. And even though the word salad that they somehow concocted creates the impression that they're on the same page, it's clear to me that they're not on the same page. The union believes the protocol was not followed as to Tua. The league believes it was. And the way that they tried to thread the needle was to say all the steps were followed, but the intended result was not reached. And the metaphor I came up with was we put all the ingredients in the cake, but we didn't get a cake at the end of the day. We followed the recipe, but hey, the end result is it's not a cake. And yeah, because you're supposed to put eggs in the cake and the eggs actually weren't put in. That's the problem. The steps were not properly followed. You checked the box, but it was just checking the box to move on. And the biggest flaw, and this is in the statement, and the league, and this is what's weird about it, because the league had a video conference to explain its position after the statement was released, and there's a very defiant and strident tone from Dr. Alan Sills, the chief medical officer, about the work of the UNCs and everything that they did and how Tua, it really was a back injury. It's this breathless recitation of, well, here's the video of him injuring his back, so it was a back injury. They didn't even examine his back when he said he had a back injury. They admit to that. He said he had a back injury. They took his word for it. They didn't examine his back to confirm it was a back injury. And there was no effort made to come to the conclusion that with the back injury or whatever it was that caused him to wobble and stumble and almost fall, he was still safe to go back in the game. They just focused on checking the boxes necessary to say, he's cleared, return to play. That was the problem. And I feel like the union and the league still aren't on the same page as to what happened and as to where this needs to go from here. Maybe they are. Maybe the league just is wired to never admit that they were wrong. And maybe the actions are the admission implicitly. Maybe what happened with Teddy Bridgewater yesterday is the implicit admission that they knew they got it wrong with Tua. So they're willingly getting it wrong with some of these other guys to show to the world that they really do understand the importance of protecting these players from themselves.
Well, that's basically what I was just going to say. I mean, if it is what we have to look at, then we have to say that actions sometimes speak louder than the words, right? And if it is so that Teddy Bridgewater was able to clear certain protocols, but was still removed from the game, then that is, I feel like, the overcorrection that shows, yeah, we probably did not apply this properly, at least in the last instance that a Dolphins quarterback had something like this come up. So like I said, I don't really have a problem with the overcorrection because of what it is that we're dealing with. And we're talking about concussions and the brain. And there's so much that we even still do not understand about the brain, but we do know that if it gets injured, it can really, really mess you up later in life. So like I said, I'm okay with the overcorrection if that's where we have to say the action kind of speaks a little bit louder than the words.
Battleground moving forward, the unaffiliated neurotrauma consultants, the union exercised its right to fire the UNC who was involved in Tua's case. The league disagrees with that. The league actually has tried and is currently trying to take away the union's unilateral power to fire the UNC. That's the push and the pull. That's the rub. They're having the negotiations and everything has to be bargained. But there's some acrimony there between the league and the union as it relates to the proper role of the UNC. My understanding is, because the league was asked during this video conference on Saturday, why was the UNC fired? Yes. We'll ask the union. They're the ones who did it. Well, I'm never a big fan of that because the league knows it was communicated to them. Ask them. They're the ones who did it. Oh, well, did they not tell you why they did it? Of course they did. And the reason was that the UNC, in the assessment of the union, believed that he worked for the league, not the union. The UNC works for both sides. And the union thought that he was hostile, unprofessional, indignant toward the union when they tried to talk to him. Like, basically, I'm not going to lower myself to deal with you. I work for the league. I work for Alan Sills. And I think that's something that they they need to make sure all the UNCs realize. And Sills was once a UNC. So I get the impression from the video conference, he never came out and said it, but I got the impression that he feels like they're his. The UNCs are his crew, his staff, and the union's opposing what it is that these very honorable physicians are trying to do for the good of the game, and they're protecting the players, and you would want your family members to be treated by these individuals. I sure as hell don't want my family member treated by anybody who thought it was okay for Tua to go back in that game. And if the league is going to issue a statement that basically acknowledges that mistake was made, but then circle the wagons and act like everything was fine, that's not the way to do it. And that was the end result for me. By Saturday night, it was weird. 4:30 p.m. or thereabouts, here comes the statement. And I'm like, holy crap, what is this? The steps were followed, but the result was not what was intended by the protocol. Well, if I didn't know better, I'd say the NFL's acknowledging a mistake was made. And then 5 o'clock Eastern, the conference call starts, and there was never a sense that they believe mistakes were made. I still don't know what they think ultimately went wrong, because in their mind, everything was done properly.
Right. And that's what the problem is. You know, I would hope that if they did feel like there was a mistake, that because of how important this issue is, just admit you made a mistake. It's okay. I mean, it's not okay, but I feel like the action's not okay. The mistake is not okay, but I feel like it is okay to make a mistake and admit that a mistake was made, because that's how the accountability happens. Or where actually is the accountability? And I think that's where this statement does not align properly with everything else that we've now heard being said. There should be some level of accountability here if there needs to be that. And by the statement, it seems like there does.
Well, and it reflects an acknowledgement that they know what they did wrong, so they know where the line is, so they know how to get it right going forward, instead of this overcorrection that may just simply flow from, we don't know what the hell we're doing, so we're just going to rule out everybody now. This is what you want? This is what you want, NFLPA? This is what you want, players? You want all these guys to be ruled out and kept out of games? Fine, that's what we're going to do, because we don't know where the hell the line is. We still can't figure it out. That's not the message that needs to be sent. Hi, it's Mike Florio. Thanks for watching PFT on YouTube. Hit subscribe for the latest news and analysis from Pro Football Talk.